everyone. My name is Morgan Huntington. I am our admission counselor for our College of Performing Arts here at Chapman. I also have a handful of my colleagues who are in the chat today, so they'll be helping answer questions. So feel free to pop those into the chat anytime you have questions. We'll be answering them throughout the presentation, but we'll also have a lot of time at the end for questions. I already see we have a question about if this will be recorded, if it will be sent out, and yes, it will be. So we'll send this recording out afterwards. If anyone's here, they'll get that. And if anyone needs to reach out afterwards to get that recording, we can get it to you. But I will get started with our presentation now. So again, this is a session on how to apply for any programs in the College of Performing Arts here at Chapman. So this is anything in dance, music, or theater. And we're just going to talk about our programs a little bit and the actual process of how to apply. Here we go. All right, so first I'm going to talk a little bit about the different types of programs that schools offer in general, but specifically that we have here at Chapman. So we have two types of degrees. We have a BA degree as well as a BFA degree. Our BA degrees are usually fewer credits. They're a lot easier if you're interested in double majoring, and you're able to focus more on your liberal arts education as a whole. Whereas those BFA degrees are going to be really focused on your talent area. They're usually about 30 more credits. If you're a music major, those same applies for our Bachelor of Music degrees. They fall into a similar category as those BFA degrees. A little bit about different types of schools. So there's two different kinds of schools that you'd really be looking into if you're interested in attending college for the arts. There's art schools. Some examples of these are Rhode Island School of Design, Cal Arts. These are schools that are really focused on the arts primarily. You're usually not really going to be doing many GE classes, general education classes. Maybe you have a few, and you're not really studying anything else outside of your primary art area. So it's great if you're a student who wants to just be fully focused on that area that you're majoring in. The other kind of schools are comprehensive schools. This is where Chapman falls. So some other schools that are examples of this are Loyola Marymount, NYU, USC, a lot of schools I'm sure you've heard of. So this is more of a full liberal arts program. What that means is that you'll be doing general education classes on top of your arts classes for your major. So you're going to have a balance of both of those. You're going to be taking classes in things like math and science and things like that, in addition to your classes in whatever your talent area is. What that means is also if you're interested in having a second major, having a minor in another area, whatever that might be, you have more opportunities to do that as well. This is really great if you're interested in having more of a traditional college experience, more of a well-rounded college experience, where you'll get the opportunities to be in a lot of clubs and participate in things that are outside of just your arts area in addition to your arts education. All right, so choosing a major, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what kind of programs we offer here at Chapman. So I'll start with our dance department. We have two dance majors here, a BA in dance and a BFA in dance performance. So this is a unique program in that all of our students who are applying enter as a BA in dance. So any of you dancers out there, you don't need to make this decision right away. You're going to come in as a BA in dance, and then once you get to the end of your sophomore year, you'll decide if you want to audition for the BFA in dance. This is our only program really in the College of Performing Arts that operates this way, so you don't need to make that decision right away. In our music program, we have a handful of majors. We have our BA in music. This is our most flexible degree. You can kind of cater it depending on where your interests within music lie. We have our Bachelor of Music in Performance. You'll focus on whatever instrument group you're in or a vocal performance, depending where you're coming from. Bachelor of Music in Composition is another major we offer. And then lastly, our Bachelor of Music Pre-Music Education Certificate. That one's a little bit of a mouthful, but that's if you're interested in pursuing the music education track, if you're wanting to eventually become a music teacher, specifically in like a K through 12 setting. We have a great 4+1 program at Chapman, so that if you're interested in doing that, you could do this program and then one more year in our graduate school, and then you'd come out in 5 years with your teaching certificate and your master's degree, and could go straight into teaching from there. So really cool option that we offer. And then lastly, we have our Department of Theater. So we have our BA in Theater. There's 4 emphases within the BA in Theater. There's theater education, if you're interested in becoming a theater teacher. We have technical theater, so that's anything from stage management to lighting to costuming, anything like that. There's dramaturgy and literature, so more of the study of theater. And then lastly, there's directing and performance. Overall, the BA theater degree is less focused on performing and more focused on kind of everything that goes into a theater production. Then aside from that, we also have our 2 BFA degrees, BFA in theater performance. This is if you're interested in becoming a stage actor, and then BFA in screen acting, as the title says, if you're interested in becoming a screen actor. This is a really unique program in that it's shared between our College of Performing Arts and our Dodge School of Film and Media Arts. So you get the resources of both the Performing Arts College and also our film school as well, which is really cool. All right, so a little bit more about kind of what to look into when you're researching different programs, good questions to ask, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what we offer here at Chapman as well. So some really good things to look into. Facilities and resources is a huge thing for us. I have a picture here of our Sandy Simon Center for Dance. You can see a little ballet class happening in there. This is one of our newest buildings that opened about a year and a half ago. If we do have any people who are interested in majoring dance or just participating dance while they're here, definitely recommend coming to campus and checking it out if you're interested. We have tours of the studio and it's a really great space. Another thing I want to mention is our Musco Center for the Arts. So this is a full professional performance facility that all of our students have access to. So our students all get a chance to perform in Musco throughout their time at Chapman. And we also bring in a lot of really great professional artists to Musco that we get to then work with our students through master classes and things like that. So really great opportunities through just those resources that we have available. As kind of goes in with that, we're really focused here at Chapman on hands-on learning and hands-on experiences. We're primarily an undergraduate institution within our College of Performing Arts. So all of those opportunities, performance opportunities, working on performances, getting to choreograph, getting to direct, all of that is really dedicated for our undergraduate students. So you get a lot of opportunities to do that. A lot of things you can start doing right away. You can start performing your freshman year with us, no matter which degree program you're in. But you can start doing things like choreographing if you're a dance major your sophomore year. You can do directing and theater as well. So there's a lot of really great hands-on opportunities where you can really have a lot of ownership over your work and getting to have that hands-on experience of what you're doing. The next few things I've listed here also all kind of fold into each other. So industry connections, really great to see kind of what kind of connections your school that you're looking at has. Chapman has really, really great faculty here. As you can see, we have a picture of a masterclass we had a few years ago with Kristen Chenoweth. It's hard to tell because everyone has their masks on, but that was a cool opportunity for a lot of our performing arts students. You got to work with them one-on-one. So we get to bring in a lot of really great people like that because our faculty have all these great connections. Our faculty themselves also are coming from the industry, really have great experience and great knowledge to pass on to our students there. I also want to shout out our career advisors. So we have career advisors at Chapman for every college. Our career advisor, his name is Connor Bogenreef. He's actually an alum of our Chapman Music School, Conservatory of Music, sorry. And so he is an expert in how to get jobs and market yourself as a performing artist. And so it's a really great asset for our students. He's constantly working to make those connections for local internships or jobs afterwards, as well as setting up things like panels and master classes for our students to get to do. And that's a resource that's available not only to our current students, but also all of our alumni as well. So it's something you can utilize for really the rest of your life after you graduate Chapman, which is really helpful because sometimes, you know, you need to come back and get some help later on in your career too. One other thing I want to mention about career preparation is that all of our programs as well have a senior seminar class that's focused fully on preparing you for the industry. So it's going to help you with getting representation, creating a resume, creating a reel, depending what it is that you're hoping to go into, they really cater it towards each student so that you're prepared and like ready to go off into the world. In general, I think Chapman has a really great reputation amongst our professional workers. So you're going in having a good reputation as a Chapman student and having a lot of connections in the industry already. And then lastly, location obviously is always great to look into, not only for just like what you're going to experience in college, but also for what that can kind of provide. Chapman is in Orange County, California, which is one of the biggest counties in the United States. So we have a lot of really great businesses here, huge area for the arts, and we're just about an hour south of Los Angeles. So a lot of really great performing arts opportunities there as well. Again, this helps bring in a lot of professional groups and things like that who live really local and who can come see our students on a regular basis because they're so close by. All right, and this is really similar, but just again, in your search for colleges, some good questions that you can ask. Things like what kind of choreography opportunities are there? How well connected are you with the industry? Can you double major? So I've kind of mentioned all of these, but take a quick look if that's going to be helpful for questions to ask us today, in the future, or to ask other programs as well. Just some good things to keep in mind. All right, so now I'm going to talk about the application process and go more specific into every step that you need to know to apply. So because Chapman is a liberal arts institution, you're going to be applying for not only your talent area, but also for, excuse me, for the school as a whole. So the first step for doing that is filling out your Common App. You'll fill out your Common App for Chapman, and then be sure that if you are interested in one of these areas, that you're listing it as your primary major interest. So if you have that as your primary major interest, you submit your Common App. Then within usually 2 days, it's usually quicker, but just in case, give yourself at least 2 days. You'll get an email that is giving you access to your student portal through Chapman, and that is where you're going to submit your creative supplement and your media uploads. So this is where all of your materials for your arts area specifically are going to be submitted. So the requirements vary per area, but basically most areas require a goal statement, a resume that's specific to that area, a headshot. This does not need to be a professional headshot at all. It's just a way for us to kind of put a face to the name and help identify you. Some of our programs require an essay or just some form of writing example. Then the media uploads are the other big aspect of your creative supplement uploads. So for our dance program, it's going to be a 2-minute solo. You can break that up into 2 1-minute solos if you want, or you can do it as 1 2-minute piece, as long as you stay under that 2-minute mark total. For our theater programs, theater performance and screen acting, it's going to be 2 monologues. There's slightly different requirements for each. I can get into those if anyone's has questions about it, but they're also all online. And for our music program, we have really specific requirements for each instrument area and vocal area, so that you know what you need to upload in those pre-screen audition videos. This is also where you'll upload a portfolio if you're looking for the BA in theater. So our BA in theater is the only area that doesn't have that audition requirement within the College of Performing Arts. Everything else, even the BA in music, the BA in dance, they're all going to require this audition, pre-screen audition element. So that all gets uploaded with your creative supplement into your Chapman portal. And then at that point, it's just waiting to hear from us. Our faculty will start reviewing all of those materials, and then they will decide if they want to invite you for a live audition. I'll get a little bit more into the live auditions in a second, but that's the end of the application process at that point. So nothing more that you need to do once you've submitted your Common App and your creative supplement. All right, so live auditions, what to expect with these. So we require live auditions, like I said, for all of our majors in dance, music, and theater, except for the BA in theater. So the BA in theater only requires a portfolio. You can upload a monologue, but there's no live audition aspect to the application process. As I mentioned, these are invitation only. So if you are invited, you'll receive an email that lets you know you've been invited, and it'll give you an option of every possible date you have to choose from. We have both in-person and Zoom options for all of our areas. So whether or not you're able to travel to our campus, you can make that decision. The process is really similar for both. You're going to get to meet one-on-one with the faculty members, get to talk with them, and then get to present whatever material you had in your pre-screen audition video. So it's either doing your dance solo, doing your monologues, or performing your music pieces. It's not normally doing anything new. The only exception to that is that sometimes our faculty will ask for a little bit of improv. They may give you a redirect. They may ask you to sight read for music. So there's a few little caveats there, but generally speaking, it's going to be that same material that you've prepped for your pre-screen audition videos. There's no preference to in-person or Zoom, except for from our end, of course, we always love having people get to come on campus, get to meet with our faculty. You get a lot more chances to meet with our current students if you're coming on campus as well. So that's always a really great thing. But in the Zoom opportunity, you also get a chance to talk one-on-one with the faculty, still get to show everything and have that live audition experience. All right, and then this is last thing from me, and then we'll have a lot of time for questions. But deadlines, most importantly. So November 1st is the big deadline. Everyone should keep in mind for our dance, screen acting, and theater performance degrees, this is a priority deadline. So what that means is that it's not a requirement to apply by November 1st, but it's highly recommended by our faculty and our admissions team. Because we do require this live audition aspect, it's going to give you a lot more opportunities for live auditions if you're invited. So really, really recommend applying by that time. These are some of our more competitive programs, so it's going to put you in a good spot to get everything in by then. If you're applying by November 1st, you have the choice to either apply early action or early decision. Early action is just applying early so that you're getting everything in by that November 1st deadline. Early decision, on the other hand, is going to be a binding commitment. So if you're accepted to Chapman, that means you've made the commitment to attending Chapman. So you'd really want to think hard about that, whether or not you want to do early decision. We certainly are happy to see students early action or early decision. We're happy to see either. So do whatever is best for you. The main benefit for these is because these are more competitive programs, our early action, sometimes the decisions come out on a rolling basis. You may not hear from us right away in the fall, and you have to wait until you've done an audition until you can get a response from us. Our early decision applicants, however, are guaranteed a decision by December. So that's one benefit you have from applying early decision. Then January 15th is our regular decision deadline. So if you aren't applying early action or early decision, the other option is regular decision. You can get all of this submitted by January 15th. If you're a transfer who's looking to apply, most of our programs only accept fall transfers. So they don't accept students starting in the spring semester, only in the fall. So that deadline for our fall transfers is going to be February 15th. One thing that if we do have any transfers here is important to keep in mind is that because we have these live auditions, I recommend trying to get things in a little bit earlier if you can. I would go by that January 15th date if possible, just so that you have more audition opportunities, but the hard deadline is February 15th. To clarify this date, whichever date it is that you're applying for, hopefully it's November 1st, it's to have your Common App and your Creative Supplement in. So as I mentioned before, there can be up to a 2-day lag in getting access to that Creative Supplement. So making sure you're giving yourself some time when you submit your Common App to also get your Creative Supplement in by that November 1st deadline is really important to make sure you do. One other thing I want to mention is that all of our requirements for the Creative Supplement are up on our website. You can find them on all of our programs pages. They're fully up to date, so you can start working on all of those materials even before you gain access to it, so that when you do have access, you can just submit it right away and copy and paste all those materials that you have. So definitely recommend doing that so that you're not worried and doing it in such a tight time frame if you are waiting to submit them till a little bit closer to that deadline. And then lastly, live auditions. If you are invited for a live audition, those are taking place for all departments between November and February. So if you apply early, like I said, then you'll have options to audition November, December, January, February, whatever works best for you. Again, this is why it's really great if our transfer applicants can apply a little earlier, since the last auditions are in February. It'll give you a lot more options. We do have a transfer audition in March for music, but for all of our other areas, they are going to be done in February. And that is all that I have. So we'll jump into questions now. I know that there's been a lot that are being answered already. I see, are there study abroad opportunities for screen acting majors? So our screen acting program doesn't have any built-in study abroad opportunities at the moment. I know that it's something that we're working to try to get more of, but there's a lot of different ways that you can study abroad at Chapman and kind of work it around your schedule however you want it to. So you can do a full semester abroad, whether that's in the fall or the spring. Usually our students do it either their sophomore or junior year. So if you're doing that for screen acting, you may need to work with your advisor to just make sure that you have enough GE credits to still take abroad, things like that. But there's a lot of options for that still. We also have a lot of travel courses. So Chapman's on a 4-1-4 semester system, which means we have our fall and spring semester, but then the month of January, we also have a term called interterm. It's where you just take one class for like an intensive 4 weeks. And we have a lot of travel opportunities during that time as well. So that's a really great opportunity for some of those majors that require a lot more credits to still get that abroad experience. And you can do as many travel courses as you want within your 4 years. So yeah, those are the study abroad opportunities for our screen acting majors. What are you looking for in the goal statement? So the goal statement for each area is really supposed to be focused on why you're interested in specifically this department at Chapman. We want to see that you've done your research and understand that our program is going to help you reach your goals in whatever area you have. They each have different prompts, so they're slightly different depending on the program you're interested in. But again, my big piece of advice is just, we want to know that you've really looked into Chapman and that you're answering this not just in general why you want to be an actor, but specifically why you think Chapman's program is going to help you fulfill that. So definitely if you have any, specific things about our program that you think are going to work really well, that you'd fit in really nicely to, how you'll contribute to it, I always recommend including those there. Another question I see is there a time limit for the pre-screen audition videos for solos? So I'm assuming this is for the dance program. And for the dance program, yes, we have a 2-minute time limit for our solos. So you'd want to submit 1 2-minute video. If you do want to submit 2 solos, that's an option as well. It's a great option if you want to showcase a couple different styles of dance. We do ask on our website, we list several different elements that we're looking for in your audition video. And so we want to make sure that we're seeing some of those things in at least one of your videos. A lot of them are some more technical aspects, things like leaps and turns and point and things like that. But if you want to submit 2 different styles, if you really want to showcase your ballroom dancing or your hip hop dancing, whatever that may be, it's a great option to do 2. It's totally up to you if you want to do 1 or 2 though. As long as combined, they still fall under that 2-minute mark. But yeah, good question. Let me see here. So for screen acting, I see that we have a question about what monologues are required. So for our screen acting major, if you're applying, the monologues that you're going to be doing are a comedic monologue and a dramatic monologue. If you're applying for our theater performance degree, it's going to be a contemporary monologue. That's anything from 1950 to present, and a Shakespearean monologue. So those are the different requirements for those, and they are 1-minute monologue pieces for each one. So it'll be 2 minutes total for those as well. Let me see here. Okay, I see a question about if you're not accepted for your first major choice, then is there ways to be accepted for your second major choice? So in short, the answer is yes. We have a really holistic review process, so we're reading through everything. Our recommendation for admission has to be from our admissions team as well as from our faculty in whatever area you're applying for. So if the faculty aren't recommending admission, but our admissions team are interested in you, they'll re-review your file. They'll see if you have any other major interests here, and if so, they'll reach out to you and see if you're interested in being considered for that area. It's a really case-by-case basis, and we want to make sure is something that you'll actually be interested in. If you're planning to then just attend Chapman and maybe try to transfer back into that first major, it probably won't work out, and we want to make sure that you have a good and happy experience here. So we want to see that students will really thrive at Chapman, even if they're not in that top choice major. So like I said, it's a really case-by-case basis that we're reviewing students for that. And it'll be a process of communication between you and the admissions team. You'll never just receive an admissions decision saying you've been accepted for a different major than you applied for. Hopefully that helped answer that one. Okay, I see a question about the wildcard video for the screen acting major. This is also a requirement for our theater performance major. So the wildcard video is really a chance for you to show your personality and show a little bit more about you aside from just acting. So mainly make sure you don't submit another video of you acting for the wildcard. We want to see something that's like a different interest from you. But other than that, it's super open for whatever you're interested in doing. We've had people submit videos of them reading poetry they wrote, wake surfing, riding a skateboard, doing a dance, whatever it may be. It can be something as simple as like baking cookies. Whatever it is that you're interested in, it's just a chance for us to learn more about you, again, outside of acting. And what I really recommend is our faculty love to know kind of like why that area is interesting to you and what kind of how it makes you you. So if you want to do like a voiceover, or if you want to talk about it while you're doing it, talk about why that hobby or skill is special to you. That's really what we're looking for there, just to learn more about you. We're all about personalized education and really getting to know all of our students. So we try to get as much of that as possible in our application process, so we can start meeting our students right away and help shape our class through that. But yeah, do you have any specific study abroad programs for the dance major? Currently, we don't. We have had certain opportunities where some faculty, depends on the year, will do a travel course and bring dance students along. We do dance tours occasionally. Those are usually more local in the US. But again, if you are a dance major, you can always tap into those options of doing a semester abroad with your other credits. Sometimes there are dance classes that you can take abroad, or you can also do a travel course during interterm or during the summer. All right. What does a sample first year schedule look like for screen acting? Great question. So if you're a screen acting major, your classes are going to be shared between the College of Performing Arts and the Dodge College of Film and Media Arts. So you're going to be taking acting classes in the College of Performing Arts, and you're going to have some of those with our theater performance majors as well for those basic intro early college classes. But then you're also going to be taking classes in the film school that are more about like the behind the scenes, what to expect on set, some other classes with other film majors. So you'll get a chance to collaborate with them, which is great because we have a lot of student films that happen all year long. And so our screen actors get a chance to then perform in those videos. They can make those connections early. So you're going to be taking those classes, and then you will be taking your GE classes as well. So you'll be taking those on top of it. We have a great advisor who works with all of our students and helps make sure your schedule is manageable. So you'll be taking those classes usually throughout the day. We have classes at Chapman that range like from 8 a.m. until late in the evening. So you can kind of tailor it towards what works best for you. But for those screen acting classes, you'll be scheduled into them to make sure that you're getting all of your required classes. We usually leave the evenings a little more open because if you are in any of our productions, which any of our screen acting majors, theater performance majors, or BA theater majors are open to audition for. If you do audition for any of our shows, those rehearsals usually happen in the evening. So we keep the evenings open for those for times of year when there's a show happening. You can be doing rehearsals then. Aside from that, you'll be living on campus, which is just right by where all of your classes and everything will be. So hanging out around campus, we have a lot of student organizations. We have, I think, over 190 student organizations. So a lot of our students in screen acting and in all of our areas are super involved on campus and spend a lot of their time doing that or having on-campus jobs or anything like that. So that's usually, especially in your first year, what a typical day today is going to look like. being in class, depending on the time of year, maybe doing some rehearsal, and then being involved in some of the other things around campus as well. I see. How many productions are produced each year and can freshmen audition? So this varies per department. So depending on which area you're interested in, but there are a lot of productions in every area. I think our dance department has at least 7 shows each year. Our theater department puts on probably about the same. Our music department puts on a number that I can't even count because they have a lot of different ones for different areas. So there's a lot of shows every single year. And yes, freshmen can audition for those in every single area. So you can start auditioning right away. A lot of these shows you can start auditioning for. It's usually within like your first couple weeks of school. So you'll get a chance to start auditioning for those and performing right away. There's a lot of ways that you can also stay involved in the productions, even if you aren't cast right away, so that you can be in like the stage crew or something like that, still get a chance to learn more about the industry and also be involved in the production, even if you aren't in the first cast right away. I see do you have collaboration opportunities between music and theater or film? So yes, we do have a music film minor. So that's a really great option if students are interested in film specifically or in music specifically for the film industry. We're also always looking to create more collaboration between all of these areas. We're creating a new course over interterm this year that's a collaboration between our dance, music, and theater students. We've had a lot of dance students perform to pieces that music students have written and performed. So there's a lot of different ways these cross over. Additionally, as I kind of mentioned before, our theater students are really closely tied with our film school. They have the chance to act in a lot of student films that happen throughout the year. So there's a lot of different ways to collaborate. If you're interested in film, and even if you're not a film major, you can always get involved in being on set. As I said, there's sets happening all year long. So there's a lot of different ways. I think one of the huge benefits of Chapman is there's so many different ways to explore all of your different interests that you have. So you're not going to be pigeonholed into just being in music and dance and theater. You're going to get a really great education in that area, but then you also can explore a lot of your other interests as well. Okay, I see one's being answered. Our talent scouts and casting agents come to screenings for screen acting. So yes, we actually do a BFA showcase at the end of your senior year at Chapman. And when you do that, we invite a bunch of agents and things like that to come view our theater performance students and our screen acting students. So you're getting a chance to perform directly in front of them. And then there's some time to mingle as well and make those connections with them. And it's right before you graduate too. So it's a culmination of all of your work you've done at Chapman, and a great way to kind of launch you into your career after that. Let's see here. Okay, I see. Can theater acting BFA candidates submit additional materials like song or dance videos? So yeah, a great way to do this would be through the wildcard video. So if you have an interest in singing or dancing, definitely do that through the wildcard. One thing that's important to know is that our program is not primarily focused on musical theater. We certainly have a lot of musical theater opportunities. We usually put on one musical every other year in our theater department. So you have a chance to do that still. And you can also get involved in the dance department, in the music department. You can take vocal lessons. You can join a vocal ensemble. You can take dance classes. You can become a dance minor. So there's a lot of ways to still be involved in musical theater. But it's not inherently the focus of our theater performance program. But definitely a great thing to showcase in your wildcard video. And again, instead of just also showing yourself doing it, it's always great to have like a second talking about why that's important to you, why it makes you you. So that's definitely what I recommend for that, but a great thing to showcase in the wildcard. In general, also, I would say in your pre-screen audition videos, in your creative supplement, just try to follow the directions as best as you can. I know that you have a lot of different requirements for a lot of different schools, but it's super helpful for our faculty to see exactly what it is that they're looking for. That's what they've kind of deemed as what's important to see who they want in the program. And it also just shows that, you know, you're able to follow directions, you're going to be a good student to work with. So that's a huge piece of advice, is just make sure you're following all those directions. And if you have anything you're unclear on, you can always reach out to me, and I'm happy to help clarify those as well. Um, What kinds of opportunities are available for technical theater? So for technical theater, like I said, it's one of those emphasis areas within our BA in theater degree. If you're interested in that, you're going to take classes in things like costume design. You're going to do classes in production and things like that. You get to work really closely with our actual production staff at Chapman. So they're going to help kind of show you the ropes and teach you on the spot for our productions that happen. So depending on what area you're interested in, specifically within technical theater, you really can find that mentorship within the staff member or faculty member that you're working with, and get a lot of that hands-on experience. Again, we have a lot of productions that happen all year long, especially if you're interested in something like costume design. They're not only designing things for theater, but also for dance and for music sometimes. So there's a lot of chance to be involved in that. And they're always looking for more people to be involved there as well. I see a question for the dramatic monologue for the screen acting pre-screen audition videos. Is something older or classical okay? I would say yes, as long as it's nothing that's too crazy. We're not looking for anyone to do like a crazy accent. We don't want you to do a character that's so different from yourself. What our chair has advised me is picking a character that's relatively similar in age to you, something you can relate to, is always a good rule of thumb for any of the monologues that you're doing. But it can definitely be an older piece. But we're really just looking for that contrast of dramatic monologue and a comedic monologue. Let's see here. All right, I see some questions are being answered, but let me see if there's any more. Okay, what does the admission team look for in monologues? So as I just mentioned, a few things that I know our faculty are really looking for is following directions. That's a really important thing, making sure you're staying under that 1 minute mark for both, picking plays or pieces that are applying correctly to whatever area it is, comedic, dramatic, Shakespearean, contemporary. Like I said, contemporary for us is going to be 1950 to present. So anything that falls in that category, ideally looking for a play there. Other things we want is, like I said, picking a character that's going to be pretty similar to you, doing your research on the play so you have context on what that piece you're doing is, making sure you really understand the character. This is a super simple thing, but one thing that I know I've heard is making sure that you pronounce the play and the character and the author of the play correctly. Again, just showing that you've done your research and that you're really interested. So with everything, I just recommend do your research, make sure you're picking something that you're comfortable with, and something that's really going to show your acting ability best. Okay, I see one that says, can you use a solo video from a competitive venue that was filmed as your dance solo submission? So yes, you can use a competition video for your audition video. We recommend ideally wanting a studio audition piece. The reason for this is sometimes those performance pieces can be a little distracting with crazy editing. It'll be cutting in and out. Sometimes the costumes could be distracting, but if you think that it's a good representation of your dancing, if you can fully see you well, it's not distracting in any of those ways that I kind of just mentioned, then you can definitely do that. We have a lot of students who do submit those who've been accepted to the program. So it's definitely not gonna hurt you too much, but my piece of advice is what we're primarily looking for is a studio audition piece. So having something where you're in a studio, it's just not moving around too much, not any crazy editing. These don't need to be anything really fancy. You can shoot it on an phone. As long as we can see you okay, that's all we're looking for. Wearing something really simple. We don't need any crazy costumes or anything. We really just want to see your technique and your style. So that's kind of the main difference between those audition pieces and competition pieces. But if you feel like your competition piece does really fall into all of those requirements well, then you can definitely submit one of those. As long as also this is going to be sound probably pretty obvious, but just in case, we do sometimes get people who submit videos of multiple people. They'll do like a trio or a group dance and try to explain which person they are. Definitely make sure you're submitting a solo video. It makes it way easier for us to see who it is that we're watching. So as long as it's a solo piece, that's one of the #1 things we're looking for. Okay, I see. I missed part of the response. Are monologues from movies okay or just plays? If you're going for the screen acting major, you can do monologues from movies. If you're going for theater performance, we usually are looking for just plays for those. It could be from a play or a musical, but I recommend ideally finding one from a play. For the screen acting major, it doesn't have to be from a movie. It could be from a play as well. But for theater performance, we're really looking mostly for plays there. Okay, I see a question. Would it be possible to double major in theater performance and also a focus on technical design within the BA? So if it would be possible, it may be possible, but generally speaking, the BA in theater is still going to be a pretty involved degree, especially because you're going to have those extracurricular requirements of being involved in the productions that you'll also have for the BFA in theater performance. So that's where it gets really tricky there. As I've mentioned before, if you're interested in technical design, but you're a theater performance major, there's still a lot of opportunities that you can take classes in that. You can be involved in that side of production. So that's what I would more recommend, just so that you're not overwhelming yourself and burning yourself out. But it kind of depends on what you're interested in. And the faculty may tell you no. It would be on a case-by-case basis, maybe with how many GE credits you come in with, how much extra room you have in your schedule. But because there is some overlap in those programs, we don't normally recommend it. If you do want to double major, it's always good to kind of look for areas outside of it. It's a bit trickier to double major with a BFA degree. We do have students who do it, so it is possible. But you just have to be really diligent about your planning and making sure that you're working closely with your advisor, not overwhelming yourself on schedule. Another thing that's really important to note is that you'll see our BA degrees usually fall in like a 47 credit range. Our BFA degrees usually are more in a 77 credit. So that's 30 more credits. Usually credits equate to an hour of class. For our majors in COPA, that's not always the case. Sometimes the credits, it's actually more hours a week than that. So you just really want to make sure that you're not overwhelming your schedule too much. And that's why it's really helpful to work closely with your academic advisor. They'll help make sure you're balancing your schedule okay, not overwhelming yourself. So no matter what, you can only come into Chapman as a single major. You can add a double major once you're already here. So I would recommend just coming in. You can definitely express your interest in multiple areas on your application, but you're not going to add that second one until you're at Chapman, where you can kind of have a second to see if that does seem possible. You can talk with the department and get an idea of what would work best for you. Okay, I see for the pre-screen audition videos for dance, do you require a ballet portion or is any genre fine? We do not require a ballet portion. So our program focuses primarily on ballet, modern, and jazz. We're looking for technique in those areas, but it definitely doesn't need to be a ballet piece. It can be, but it could also be ballet. It could also be jazz, modern, contemporary, anything that's going to kind of showcase those skills and that technique in those areas will do just fine. So you can do ballet. You don't have to. If you're interested in doing like a point piece, you can definitely do that. I would probably recommend doing 2 audition videos for that though, if you can, just because our program, we do offer point opportunities, but it's not the primary focus of our program. So we want to make sure we're seeing your skill in other areas as well. And when you do that live audition for dance, you're going to be doing a short warm-up class with one of our faculty members. That's a good chance to get to like experience class with one of our faculty, and it'll depend on whatever subject you're doing on the faculty member who's there. So sometimes it is a ballet bar, sometimes it's a modern warm-up, sometimes it's like Pilates stretching. So it really depends, but yeah, definitely can submit some ballet things, but it's not required. You will be doing ballet in the program though. What are some notable alumni projects I see? So one that we always like to shout out that I think is really cool is we have currently two of our Chapman dance alum are dancing on the Taylor Swift Eras Tour, which is really cool. One of them also is previously a Rockette. Another one has been kind of in the commercial dance industry for a long time. So that's really great. We have a lot of, speaking specifically to dance right now, a lot of people who are doing concert dance as well. So you can really go either path, concert, commercial, or if you're interested in another path as well, there's a lot of options there. Our theater majors are all out in the world working as well. We have a lot of people who are in the screen acting industry performing or auditioning and doing all of that. We have a student who was the lead in the Anastasia musical tour. Sorry, I'm stumbling on my words. Who is from our theater performance program. So that is really great. Our music alumni, we have a lot of people who are teaching, a lot of people who are even teaching at Chapman, and we have a lot of people who are performing in symphonies around the area, performing in smaller groups, more on an individual basis. So yeah, a lot of people who are out and about working, and again, we stay really closely connected with those alumni, so we're able to bring them in, work with our students so that they have that knowledge before they go into the industry as well. Let's see here. I see if I were to submit two separate dance videos, can one be a little over a minute and the other be under a minute for a total of 2 minutes? Yes, that's totally fine. As long as we're seeing enough of each style that it doesn't seem like weirdly short. But if it's not exactly at 1 minute, it's going to be totally okay. We just ask that you stay as close to those 2 minutes as possible because we do have a lot of applications we're reviewing, and it is a perfect amount of time for our faculty to get to review your dancing in. So if it's not exact, that's totally okay. If it falls a little under or a little over. I see, how do you put a second choice major on your application? So when you're filling out your Common App, you're actually going to have a chance to put in your primary major and your secondary major. So it'll be a question that's asked you as you're going through all of those questions. It'll be really straightforward. And that's where you list it there. And there's also going to be an option to talk about why you put your second major if you're interested in it. So if you are really interested, then you can put it there. If you have no other major that you're interested in, you definitely don't need to write a second major choice. You can leave that part blank. If you're like, I only want to come here for screen acting and that is it. If I only want to come here for music, whatever it may be, feel free to only put that one. But if you do have other interests, definitely put that down as your second major interest. It'll be right there on the Common App for you to fill out. I see, should the resume be formatted similar to an academic or a professional acting one? Really, I would say the format is not too big of a problem for either way. It is going to be a resume focused on your talent area. So I would kind of teeter more towards the side of similar to an acting one. But we're looking for basically just one page, a quick way for our faculty to see what your experience is, what your training is. But don't be too stressed about the format there, really. They're not looking for anything in specific. They just want a quick shot at whatever your experience and training is. Okay, I think some of these are being answered already. What are you looking for in the goal statement? I talked about that. Best way to record video, audition videos. Again, it doesn't really matter how fancy the recording is. You can do it with a camera, you can do it with a cell phone. As long as we can see and hear you fine, that's really all we're looking for. So don't be too caught up in that. Definitely looking for landscape videos. And again, just following the instructions, making sure if you're dancing, we can see your full body. If you're acting, I think it's usually like half your body, and same with music. So just making sure you're following those instructions. But when it comes to like the technical aspect of it, it doesn't matter too much. Trying to see if there's any we haven't answered here. Okay, I see. For the resume, for the creative supplement, is it okay to submit one that's the same I uploaded for the Common App, or does it have to be focusing only on dance? So for the creative supplement, I would have a resume that is specific to dance or acting or whatever it is that you're applying to. I would have it specific to that area. So we're not looking for as much like what kind of jobs or clubs have you been in. We're looking for more specific, what is your dance training? If you have had any dance jobs, you definitely don't need to have. If you've, had any cool opportunities, done any like summer intensives or special classes or anything like that, that's what we're looking for on the resume for the creative supplement. So just tailor a little more. Again, you don't need to be too worried about the format of it, but just tailoring it to the area that you're going to be in is what we're looking for there. Right. How many recommendations do you submit? So you're going to be submitting 2 recommendations, I believe, one from a school teacher, and one from a counselor, or 2 from a school teacher. But you don't need to submit anything specific to the performing arts. You can definitely if you want to, and if you want that to make sure it's seen by our faculty, you can always send it to me. Oh, sorry, we only need 1 recommendation. But only need 1 recommendation. But yeah, if you have any interest in uploading more, you can, but you don't need to. Um, Does the live audition dance solo have to be the same as the pre-screen dance video, or can it be different? So it doesn't have to be the same. It definitely can be. You may be seeing a different faculty member than saw your original video. So I always recommend, again, just make sure you're still following those guidelines set by the pre-screen audition videos of what we're looking for. But you can do a new solo if you want, or you can do the same one. It's totally up to you and what you'd want to do. If you're coming to one of those November auditions, it's really close after that deadline, and we don't expect you to put together a whole new piece. But it's totally up to you and whatever you think is going to reflect your dancing best. So your choice on that one. Okay, I see. What projects have your faculty been a part of? So again, this really varies depending on the department. Obviously, we have a lot of really great faculty. One of our director of our screen acting program, Professor John Bennett, he has been off doing his own documentary filmmaking recently, and he kind of travels all over the world for it. So that's been really cool. In our dance program, we have a faculty member, Jenny Backhouse, who runs a contemporary dance company in Orange County that actually works really closely with our dancers. So that's a really great thing. In addition to that, we have a summer intensive for Backhouse Dance. So if any of our dancers are interested in that, definitely look into it. You get to go dance at Chapman with a lot of Chapman faculty, a lot of Chapman students. Our music faculty as well are outperforming, doing a lot of really great things, teaching in a lot of other places. So yeah, a lot of big projects. I don't know how to dive into all of them right now, but if you're interested in learning more specifically, definitely reach out to me afterwards and I can connect you with one of those faculty members and they can kind of tell you more about that. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions right now. I'll give it a second or two. Oh, I saw one just come in. How soon after submission do you send out in-person invitations? So we try to get through those application reviews as quick as possible. We usually look for about a 2-week turnaround, ideally. That being said, we have set audition dates for each program. So you wouldn't know until you're invited for one of those auditions if there is an audition on that date. But we try to get a turnaround within a week or 2 of you submitting your application. The closer you get to November 1st, it can take a little bit longer because we're getting such an influx of applications then. But we try to get you a response as quick as possible. Our first auditions all start towards the end of November. So you have that little bit of time to figure it out. But we have auditions happening in December, January, and February as well. So if you're not able to make it right away, you can definitely come to one of those or to one of our virtual options as well. Okay. And then I see, will I get a notification if I don't get invited to a live audition? So if you aren't invited, yes, you will hear from us, letting you know that either you haven't been admitted to the school or that you're interested in that you asking if you're interested in a second major that you put down. But you will hear from us either way if you are admitted or not, invited to a live audition or not. So you will always hear from us. I have not put my contact information into the chat, but I can definitely do that. So I'll write that down now so that anyone can email me afterwards if you have any questions. But we have a few more minutes now too, so feel free to submit any questions that you do. All right. I do see one question. If you're not accepted early decision or early action, will you be placed in regular admission? The answer, sometimes that is true. Sometimes we decide to roll students. Generally speaking, we're going to give you a firm answer of admit or no or second choice after you apply. But there are some students who we end up rolling to regular decision. If that's the case, we'll reach out to you and let you know. All of our programs do admit on a rolling basis. So even if you apply early action, you may not find out until the spring, winter or springtime. And you wouldn't necessarily be rolled for that. You'd just still be waiting as our faculty is seeing more auditions and helping shape their class. The Q&A questions will not be sent out of the recording. If there's anything that you missed or want to hear again, just feel free to reach out to us and we can answer those again for you. But we'll send out the recording of the whole presentation. Okay. Okay, I see one more question that's come in. We have just a couple minutes, so I'll answer this one. What are the qualities that Chapman encourages them to send in audition invitations? So I think this is just asking like what we're really looking for in our students. In general, for all of our programs, we want students who are going to be great self-starters, who are really open to growth and to learning. Obviously, we're looking for a certain level of skill in all of these areas as well. But we're looking for students we think are going to be a good fit in Chapman, again, who've done their research here, who seem like they'd be a good student for us. So seeing students who are really advocating for themselves, who seem really great to work with, especially in those live auditions. If you do ask to do a little improv, to do a redirect, we want to see kind of what your attitude would be like in that situation, how you'd be like to work with as a student. So that's really what we're looking for in general for all of our programs here. Right. I think that's just about it. Okay, I see one more question. We have 1 minute left, so I'll answer that one, and then we'll close up the Q&A. But lastly, I see, will students be in the dorms with other art students? Yes, so our students are housed based off of their major at Chapman. So you'll be living with other, based off of their college at Chapman. So they'll be living with other College of Performing Arts students. So you may be with dancers mixed with musicians, mixed with people in our theater department. They could be a mixed bag of all of those, but it's all going to be within your college, and everyone else who's in your major is going to be close by on your floor. But yeah, thank you so much. I think that's all the time we have. If you do have any other questions, you have my email, copaadmin@chapman.edu. I'm sorry. So feel free to reach out if you do have any other questions. But other than that, thank you so much for listening. Hopefully this was helpful.